Good day, good day, good day, everybody. How are you doing today? Mic check, mic check, mic check, mic check, mic check. How is everybody doing today? How is everybody doing today? How is everybody doing today? Introduce yourselves as you step into the Terror Dome. Let me introduce everybody here. Okay, we've got this going. Substack is in the house. Get this. Right. All right, guys. It always takes a little bit of time for people to wander in. I'm just getting these notes out to some folks. This link out. URL. Okay. Just getting these things out to some folks that we are now on. So much to talk about today, guys. So much to talk about. So much to talk about. Whew. Boy, oh boy. Let's see. All right. All right, all right, all right. How is everybody doing? I'm not seeing any comments. I should be seeing all the intros. Where are the introductions? Sirael, how are you? Sirael from South Africa. How are you? Welcome. Welcome. You're welcome to the show. I'm letting everybody know. So, guys, this is going to be a different style because we're going to talk about a number of topics in today's show. We're going to talk about Burkina Faso going nuclear, a story that I covered 2 years ago. But it has come back again into the news because, well, I mean, let me not say so much in the news. It's a video that I posted has gotten a lot of attention because I'm highlighting a perspective that has begun to rise in the Western Hemisphere in relation to Burkina Faso getting nuclear capabilities. And it's very important because it's something that I warned about years ago that, they're going to try and demonize this country because they're doing something that they should have done a long time ago, which is use their own resources for their own benefits. We will talk about that. Then we're going to talk about Donny T. Donny T is the gift that keeps on giving. I mean, Donny T, one of the most amazing news story personalities that has ever existed in history, because this guy, it is all action every day. All action with Donny T every day. We're going to talk about the fact that he was trying to do a deal to get Venezuelan migrants to move to Africa. We're going to talk about that with Donny T. Then we're going to talk about Cenat. Cenat, a big, very famous YouTuber who said that black Americans have no culture. It's a bit crazy. He said that black Americans have no culture, guys. So we're going to talk about that as well. Let me make sure that I've even gotten this. I think I've gotten. Did I get this correct? Okay, let me post this right. Yeah, this is wrong. This is wrong. This is wrong. Let me post this correctly in here. The metadata is wrong on this, so I have to correct this. All right. And then we're going to talk about AI YouTube. So YouTube has banned the use of AI. Well, not banned it, but they've demonetized the use of AI in YouTube. So you're not allowed to use AI anymore, and that is a very good thing. That is a very, very good thing. I'm actually very happy about that scenario. So we're going to be talking about all of those things. So make yourselves comfortable, make yourselves comfy. That is what we are going to be discussing today. How's everybody's week been? How's your weekend? How is your week? How is your week? Oh, damn. How is your week? What is going on with everybody? Oh, damn. Why is this suddenly so dark? Let me get some light up in here. All right. Get some lights up in there. How is everybody doing? Jillian from Florida, how are you? On the Substack feed. Looking a little bit dark. I gave myself a boost. Gave myself a little boost. Jillian from the Substack, how are you? From Florida. How are you doing? How are you doing? Welcome to the show. Yeah, so let me actually now pull up some information that I'm going to utilize for this convo that we're about to have. Pull out some information. So, hi Jay Jacobs, how are you? Time to shift the mothership. How are you? Long time, well, not long time, but how are you doing? Bran Fleurs, how are you? How are you, Bran Fleurs? How are you, Bran Fleurs? How is everybody doing? Let me actually let some folks know where I'm at. Everybody should know. To the chats, huh? Don't know why anybody's having issues. Anyway, guys, so let's get into this first topic. Let's get into this first topic. So, Burkina Faso has done a deal with Russia for nuclear energy. And this deal exists. This deal has been around for ages, 2 years. They've been working on it. The thing about it, though, is this, and this is the interesting aspect. I knew at the time that because the deal was being done with Russia, there was going to be an issue. I knew at the time, I was like, you know what? This is going to cause some problems, but I wasn't certain about exactly where things were going to go. And I was like, yeah, this is going to cause some problems because I don't believe that France and the US and all of these sort of guys would be cool with Burkina Faso not only getting nuclear energy, but doing a deal with Russia to get nuclear energy for themselves. I said, I know this is going to be an issue. But I didn't know when it was going to happen, when things were going to really bubble up, because the neighboring country to Burkina Faso is Niger. Niger is right there. Niger is one of the largest uranium producers in the world. Let me see. People are having some problems? Anyone having problems bypassing the sign-up screen to the chats? Oh, some people are having some issues. Anyway, this is the problem when you're having to deal with everything yourself, guys. So let me mute this. Let me mute this, guys. Give me a second. Let me mute this. All right. So, hi, Adam W. Your Substack email went out, but I didn't receive a notification today. That was unusual. Could have occurred with others? Huh. You didn't? That's weird. No notification. That is very strange. Did anybody in Substack get a notification that I was live? Because I did. I got, yeah, I mean, I've got the email here. The email came through that I'm live, so I don't know why you didn't get it. You didn't? Okay, well, I got the email. I got the email, so I don't know what happened. Anyway, so I knew that there was going to be problems when this happened. And this is the point I'm trying to make here, that what I've seen happening now isn't so much the US government or the UK government putting out propaganda, that Chazwazi said that she got it or he got it. So I don't know what's going on there. I knew that there was going to be there's propaganda now that's coming from regular people. And this is why it's so interesting, because when you start seeing regular Tom, Dicks, and Harrys running propaganda for America, it's exactly what I told you. I said, you start this rhetoric to sell it to the American people that this is the new enemy or is one of your new enemies. Then they do the work for you. It snowballs, and then it just becomes a narrative that the general public have that, oh, this African nation is trying to build a nuke. That's where they're trying to go with this, which is why it's so dangerous. And I think it's important that content creators like myself and people who are in my field put out the truth, because it's not even that I'm even doing propaganda pro Burkina Faso. I'm just telling people the actual reality of what is happening. They're using the uranium to build nuclear reactors for nuclear power. That's the reason. It is that simple. It is that simple. So it's very, very important that we have these conversations. Daryl Leslie, how are you? We have a meeting this Saturday. No, we have the 300. I will talk about that during this show. The 300 presentation for Q1, very exciting. I'm actually under pressure for that. Is this Sunday, not Saturday. It is this Sunday, the 27th. Okay. The Q2 300 meeting is this Sunday, the 27th. Okay. So that is what that is what's going to be happening. But I'll be talking about that later on in the show. Anyway, so the thing that I was saying was this, is that you have this scenario that the general public now are beginning to pick up on this thread. They're beginning to pick up on this thread that, oh, this is a new enemy to look out for. That is a very, very dangerous, 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 dangerous place to be. Because once you get into that, then it becomes a cultural war. It's no longer a political, it's a political thing, but it's now more a culture thing. It becomes the same way that the word woke got hijacked. It becomes the same way, the way that BLM became a curse word, basically. It becomes the same way where anything that has been positive for Black and African community gets identified, neutralized, taken, first of all, corrupted, controlled by the opposite, by white society, essentially, and then neutralized. The narrative on Burkina Faso, if you're not careful, you know, all this positivity that we have about independence and the Sahel Alliance, if you're not careful and you're not very diligent with how every narrative is handled, you look left, you look right, all of a sudden they're the trifecta of evil in Africa. Because you know that they've already started pulling these okie dokes where they've quietly said that Africa is now the Sahel specifically of Africa is the epicenter of terror in the world. The epicenter of global terrorism is that region. That's what America has said. Once you've started putting that out there, it's very risky territory. Once you've started putting that out there, it's very risky territory. You know? Looking at what we got. I'm suddenly getting a lot of messages now. What's going on? Suddenly getting a lot of messages of distress. Anyway, so that's the reason why I'm going to be, I've already been working hard of putting out the truth, but I'm going to work harder to make sure that the truth about what is going on is given to the people. See, I'm not really as worried about folks who already want to label Burkina Faso a negative. You're not going to be able to do anything about those guys. But on the other side, the flip side, we've got to do what we've got to do. Shyam Roots, I'm 16, content creator from the UK with Caribbean roots, and I focus on making videos about Africa, the Caribbean, and the diaspora. Recently, one of my videos hits 400 likes. Okay. And most of my other videos usually get around 40 likes. Any tips to grow further? Just keep doing what you're doing. I mean, if you keep doing what you're doing, you do it honestly, and you're serving an audience in terms of, you're making sure that you're putting stuff out there that your specific audience wants to see. Sooner or later, you're going to get discovered. Sooner or later, you're going to get traction. The main thing is that just be honest and true with what you do. That's it. Be honest and true with what you do. Mike Plenty, good day. Everything gets hijacked, but they are losing their grip is what gives me hope. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look, I think it's complacent to, you see, this is the problem that I have with, which we'll talk about when we get to the Cenat story. This issue of martyrdom and suffering that Black people have, whereby, oh, well, at least we're right. Oh, well, at least we're honorable. Oh, yeah, well, at least we know the truth. At least we know. Who cares whether you know the truth? The truth doesn't put food on your table. Knowing the truth doesn't pay your bills. You knowing it doesn't, if you know it, but the rest of the world doesn't know it, and you don't control anything, it doesn't mean anything. So for me, I think it's you see, when you're dealing with a group of folks who don't care about being right, who don't care about being honorable, who don't care about telling the truth, who don't care about real justice, you can't fight that if you're hung up on those things. You can't fight it. So from my point of view, you've got to be more focused on, okay, look, all ideology and everything that you do has to be on controlling your own resource and your own narrative. It's like, these are the things that matter most. These are the things that matter most. It doesn't matter, what is behind this. Oh, we know the truth, and we know, nobody cares about those things. Nobody cares about that. These are the facts. These are the facts, guys. That being said, there hasn't actually been concrete news on what is going on with that deal with Russia, between Burkina Faso and Russia for the power, nuclear power. I haven't seen any information about that in terms of any further development. Deuteronomy blessings, how are you? Deuteronomy blessings, how are you? You know what? I will tell you this because somebody's asking about social media. Different kinds of social media have different benefits. Some social media is better for certain things than others. So it really just depends on what it is you're actually really looking for and getting on the social media that best suits the needs that you have. You know what I'm saying? You've got to pick the social media that best suits the needs that you have. So depending on the type of content creator you're, especially for African content, it's like there's different types of African content. What I found, for example, is that YouTube, the benefits of YouTube is doing all of these elaborate videos isn't really the key. It's this kind of stuff. This kind of thing where you talk for a longer period of time, where you have a more meaningful connection with your audience and you really have conversations with people. That is better on YouTube than short form video. Because YouTube, people don't go to YouTube to consume quick content, generally speaking, when they're at home. Like, yes, but you're always going to default to Instagram and TikTok for that sort of stuff. Yes, there's YouTube Shorts, but really YouTube really shines for long form. And I think for the kinds of conversations that we have here, that is why I like it, because we can actually really talk. I mean, there's a reason why people reacted so strongly to me talking about on Instagram and TikTok. I will talk about it as well, about the Burkina Faso nuclear energy, and especially pushing back against that narrative that there are WMDs being developed, or they could develop WMDs. I'm like, wait a minute. That's a Western thing, man. You're the only guys who've built weapons of mass destruction and actually used them on people. It's only happened twice. Both times. Let me see. Yeah. The 2 Hiroshima bombs. When else have anybody used them? Nobody's really used them. Nobody has nuked people other than America. Nobody. So of all this, we are scared of, these people, we've got to be, determined. No, you want to be the only people who have them to use on people, and you've used them. So we should be scared of you. We should be saying America shouldn't have nuclear weapons because you've proven that you're irresponsible with them. Because for people who know the history, when Harry Truman dropped those nukes on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, he didn't need to do it because he'd gotten word that they were already going to, the emperor was going to surrender. And he dropped them anyway because they wanted to see how effective they were. These are the facts. The documentation is there. Go and read the paperwork. Diabolical evil. The truth. They didn't have to do it. The narrative that they push out there is that, we shortened the war. We had to. If we didn't do it, more people. No, it wasn't. They were going to surrender. And people in his own cabinet were telling him that don't do it. They told them don't do it. They didn't test nukes on Africa first. They wanted to. They wanted to test them in Africa. First of all, they wanted to go in Africa, and then they said that it would be a politically bad thing to do. Then they went out to Mexico, I think it was Mexico or something. And there were people living in that area where they tested them and they got rid of them. That movie of Oppenheimer whitewashes and it's really, really whitewashes what really happened. Like, there were actual people in that desert and they got rid of them so they could test the nuke there. They were going to test it in Africa for real. And listen, whenever these guys want to test something and they need human subjects, Africa are always the first option. You heard what those French doctors were saying when COVID was happening and they were talking about testing vaccines, what they were saying about Africans. They don't think Africans are real people. They think that they're other. So when it comes to doing this sort of stuff, they don't view you as... Listen, man, the more you know, the more you realize how serious things are and how much you have to keep your eyes on the ground. These are the facts. It's a Western form of gaslighting. How do you mean? What is a Western form of gaslighting? Time to shift the mothership? What do you mean by that? Abraham Traore said they did in an interview with Russia. Maybe I was mistaken. No, they didn't. They didn't actually use the nukes. They wanted to. And when I'm talking about this, I'm not talking about any other nuke. I'm specifically talking about the atom bomb from World War II. Any other nuke that they might have tried, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, they could have done that. I don't have that information. I'm specifically talking about the main nuke that was dropped on Hiroshima and the fact they wanted to test them, and they wanted to go to Africa first. It's funny how, people come into my live shows and they just start asking random questions about random tangentials that have nothing to do with the actual topic we're talking about. Just like random questions. So you think I'm going to stop the show to talk about something completely at a tangent? Yeah, guys. By the way, guys, Substackers, I need to in more communication from my Substack folks about what you like. And also, I'm also concerned about, I don't want to, hey, Danny San Leger, how are you? I don't want to what's the word? I don't want to send too many posts in my newsletter because I know how much I hate my inbox getting filled from people I've subscribed to. I really don't like it personally when I just get email after email after email all the time. So I try to balance it out. So the way I've been doing it is obviously I do it maybe once or twice a week. If something crazy happens, then I might do it more than that, but usually once or twice a week. How is that frequency for you guys in the Substack? And which kinds of posts have you been enjoying the most? Because we've got so many things on the Substack. We've got podcasts like you're watching now. We've got the notes. We've got the regular posts. We've got the historical posts, politics, current affairs, video podcasts, audio podcasts, because YouTube is a video platform. I mean, so my videos, like YouTube is the land of my videos, primarily. Yeah, look, it's these people, I mean, yeah. Look, I don't know. I mean, I'm reading something about the Hiroshima and Nagasaki bombs. Shocking. Absolutely shocking. Absolutely shocking. They say aliens built the pyramids. They need them to be aliens because black people are not supposed to be capable of doing things like that. What you have to think about with the pyramids is that, what does alien even really mean? What if the beings that built those pyramids are still on the planet and they existed before the humans that we know now and they're black? Or they've gone to space, or they've gone, forget about space, but they've gone somewhere else, to another dimension. There's so many explanations for it, but those people were black folks. Time is a very interesting thing, and for beings that might live for 1 million years, the last 2,000 to 5,000 years is a blink of an eye to them. So they could have just gone away and they're going to come back maybe in 100,000 years or something like that, where to us, we'd already be extinct by then. But for them, it was the blink of an eye. So you've got to think about perspectives like that. So everything is, Alpha Tech, after such an atrocious act, they go around the world lecturing the world on democracy because we allow them to. Why can't they do it if we allow them to? I don't blame people for disrespecting somebody if you allow them to disrespect you. If you don't take yourself seriously. Of course they'll disrespect you. Of course they'll disrespect you. So, I mean, for me, Gabriel said he just booked a flight to Burkina Faso. By the way, guys, let me actually make some announcements here real quick. So The Back to Africa handbook, which I released, the ebook, 82-page or 83 or 82-page ebook, which gives you all the info to jumpstart your move or your visit to Africa. Everybody knows about the Back to Africa handbook. I have a upgrade, the Sahel Alliance upgrade, the Sahel upgrade. It's now ready. I finished it. That is almost a 50-page upgrade. And that is free to everybody who got a copy of the Back to Africa handbook. So look out into your inboxes for all those who bought that. And you're going to be getting very soon a free upgrade to everybody who got a copy of that handbook, guys. Free upgrade. Let me give people a round of applause for buying the handbook. Give people a round of applause for buying the handbook, guys. And I'll make a video about that soon. It took me a while because I've been trying to check up on what the status is for Burkina Faso citizenship and repatriation, and Niger and Mali and all of that. So I had to get all of that information and the particulars just to make sure that you guys have the right info to get yourselves up to speed and to prepare yourselves to go there and so on and so forth. All right, guys, let's get on to this next story. Let's get on to this next story. So, Donny T. It's all about Donny T, guys. Donny T is all action. The A-Team. Donny T is all action because it seems like every single day he's doing something else. Every single day he's doing something else. The latest, and I've made a video about this on Instagram, but I haven't made a video about, did I make a video about this on here? I don't think so. About how he's, oh no, I didn't, because I talked about him doing the Rwanda peace deal, Rwanda-Congo peace deal, but I didn't talk about this. He invited a number of African presidents to the White House. Mauritania, Guinea-Bissau, Senegal, Gabon, and Liberia. 5 of them, I think. And he invited them to the White House and to talk about, reducing tariffs, because I think that there's a 10% tariffs on their goods to the US, and they wanted to negotiate reducing that and other economic initiatives, allegedly. Behind the scenes, then, there were reports that the thing that they were really talking about, or he was really trying to talk to them about, or persuade them to do, was to take Venezuelan refugees from the US to Africa, because the US are trying to expel them. So some of them are criminals, some of them have been from prison. Not all criminals, some people get thrown in prison and they're not criminals. But either way, sending these folks out of America and to Africa. That, to me, is very interesting. And the reason why we even found out about it is because Nigeria pushed back and rejected the offer and said that, look, we've got too many problems. So that Nigeria said, no, they were not going to take any of those migrants in. I don't know what to say, guys. I mean, it seems... I don't know what to say. Because the fact that such a thing is even being discussed, to me, is unbelievable. And I wonder why, when it comes to offloading these people, it's always us. Why is Africa a candidate for giving migrants in the first place? Why? And these things are just are a recipe for disaster, because it's going to be destabilizing in the future. These guys come in there, then, families and their generations deep, then you've got all this. If you can't handle it, and this is the crazy thing, if America can't handle these people, what makes you think African countries can? Maggie Getfield, you're on. You're welcome. I hope you enjoy the upgrade. Adam W. MERC, does your book give detailed info about costs and possibilities offered based on various ages and backgrounds to those looking to move to Africa? Anybody who's got the handbook, answer that for Adam W. Anybody who's got the handbook, feel free to answer that for him in the chat. I would like to say that that handbook is the best quick overview that anybody has gotten, because people don't seem to, I don't think that one of those sorts of things even exists. So anybody who's trying to make that move, they just don't know where to begin, because there is no guide that's like, okay, look, these are the things to think about. These are the things to do. I think somebody even went to Africa using my handbook, and they wrote to me saying how valuable it was for just getting them in the right states of mind and, you know, to preparing the things. I can't remember who it was. I have to check. I have the email. But anyway, look, it's not quite ready yet, but within the week, the upgrade will be ready. So the question I ask myself is that why does Donitsi want, why is Africa the option? Why is Africa the option? Of all the places you can send these guys. That is problematic, guys. And you've got to think, like, what is worse is the African leaders that are even entertaining this conversation. Why are they even entertaining it? Why are they even entertaining it? That is the real conversation I want to have. And, you know, look, obviously something like this isn't supposed to have been made public. I think it was like, you know, let's try and discuss this under the table while people aren't watching. That's really what it was. Like, you know, we'll talk about all this other stuff in public, but under the table, we'll have this side conversation of like, listen, we've got these migrants. It's going to be a bribery situation. They're going to be saying that, listen, take these guys, we'll give you some money, we'll give you these deals. Everybody there, all those African leaders are smiling because they know how rich they're going to get off Donitsi. This is part of the reason why I feel the next generation of African is so important. That mentality of shaking and, you know, all the white guys here now, the president of this country, of this European nation or America or whatever, you know, and then you start. That's part of why we're screwed. Because when I saw the footage of these guys sitting in there with Donitsi, I was like, do you guys realize who you're dealing with here? This is Donitsi. This is a guy that was in WWF wrestling. This guy was on a TV show. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? But you see these African leaders behaving in this way, and you're like, man, these guys are just trying to ingratiate themselves to somebody that's going to make them rich. But those days are ending. You know, I'm glad that those days are coming to an end. Those days are coming to an end. I'm glad. Maria Spasikova says they are actually pressuring Eastern Europe too. I'm hearing from back home that Serbia is being heavily pushed to accept immigrants. Yeah, well, I haven't heard about that, but yeah. Well, you know what though? Aren't some of these guys coming from Eastern Europe? Gabriel, wasn't one of the presidents wearing the MAGA hat? Is that true? I don't know. Is that true? Does anybody have that info? Was one of the African presidents in the meeting wearing a MAGA hat? Does anybody have that info if one of the presidents in the meeting was wearing a MAGA hat? Because that would be insane. That would be insane. To be honest, I didn't watch the full thing. I just watched clips. Can anybody confirm if he was wearing a MAGA hat? Lord, let me see if I can find that. Let me see if I can find that. Let me see images. Wow. Oh, yes. I knew it had to be him. I knew it. I said, of all those presidents who would do this, there is one man that I know would do this. It had to be Brice Nguema of Gabon. It had to be. It had to be Brice of. It had to be, because America put him there. You've seen my stories. I've told you they put him there. That's the heist of the century that you witnessed with Gabon, where they pretended to take Bongo out, but he's their cousin. Africa, Africa, Africa. They thought that they could pull a fast one. We know what's up. Of course, he's wearing the cap. Those are his paymasters. Those are the guys that put him in office. How won't he wear his hat? It had to be Nguema. I'm not surprised. I am not surprised. Donity, Donity, Donity. Wow, wow, wow. Donity, Donity, Donity. So, look, all of this stuff is a hustle. The only positive that we can say with all of this is that times are changing, and the younger generation, especially with the help of our platforms like this, it's not easy to bamboozle them anymore. So it doesn't matter what is said. You can't really bamboozle these guys anymore. That is the positive. These people cannot be bamboozled. These people cannot be bamboozled. The youngsters. So you see how a Brice Oligui Nguema will go and do something like this. We know what you're doing. You see, back in the day, nothing would be said about it. Nothing would be said about it. 33 today. What do you mean 33 today? What are you talking about? You know, I mean, things like this would just go under the radar. But I'm glad that you brought that up, because I did not see that image of the guy with the hat. And why would an African president be wearing a Make America Great Again hat, especially with the connection that MAGA has to white supremacists in America? It shows how disconnected you are from everything. Born 33 years ago. Oh, you're saying it's your birthday. Okay. Happy birthday. Yeah, guys. Yeah, guys. But what are your thoughts? In fact, let me put up the link here. Let me put up the link. All right, guys. On YouTube, the link is up. If anybody wants to join the show, as we are now halfway through. Well, over halfway through, actually. We've got 2 more stories to go. We've got 2 more stories to go. Focus CRL. Anyway, before I get into those stories, let me actually give a quick announcement. So as you guys know, the 300, my independent funding group, my independent funding community, where I asked for 300 people who were dedicated, and we meet once every quarter, discuss projects that I'm making. They vote, they put in their contribution, $100 minimum, as high as you want to go above that. And I then go off and I make those projects, and then we rinse, repeat. We move forward to keep building independently, autonomously from the machine, from any system. Well, the Q1 project is complete. Q1 project is complete. And we are having a presentation event next Sunday. Invitations they've already gone out to the 300 people, but we're going to be releasing a set number of places to the general public. Priority going to my Substack paid subscribers, founding members, and then, obviously YouTube as well, my members on YouTube. Because I know I have a membership on YouTube as well. They'll also get priority. And Instagram. And then to the general public. So that's how we're going to do it for next weekend. It's on Sunday at noon Eastern. Very excited about this because you know what? It's one thing to have a dream or a concept or an idea or an initiative. But when you actually start, you just have thoughts, you have a goal. And when you have a wish and you start realizing it, you start moving forward and you're hitting. It's amazing to have this target and you hit the target. Had a target and hit the target. We are on schedule. Well, what is it now? So, yeah, mid-April. So it was April we had the meeting. May, June, July. Amazing. Right on schedule for Project 1. And you see, the beauty of this is now Q2 is going to be even bigger. Q2 is even going to be bigger because it's all layered. So I'm really excited about this. And also all the, because like it's, we're going to have a real Pan-African webinar, talk about everything, talking about the future. And as I said, I will be giving up to a set amount of tickets or places for the general public. So I will make that known in due course. Make that known in due course. Thank you, Darlene. Are we going to get a website one day? Yes. Wait a minute. Shyam Roots, a website for who? For the 300 or for my platform? What do you mean? A website for my platform or for what do you mean specifically? What do you mean? Because there is a website for my newsletter for Substack. Substack has a website that you can go to with all my posts and videos and podcast episodes. Substack does have a website. For the platform, yeah, I mean, look, for the entire platform, I think the best we can do now is what Substack has given, which is the Substack website, which does encompass most things. Because it's got the podcast, it's got the articles, it's got the notes. It's allowing me to have these live shows, stream to it. So it takes care of a lot of things. So I think that's good enough for now. But then who knows? Depends on how big the community gets. If the community gets into the millions, then yes, I guess then we should really have our own websites, but we're not quite there yet. We'll get there though. We will get there. I think the struggle I have is because I'm just one guy. So it's very difficult. I'm still trying. I think one of the things I was talking about is actually building a team and getting a staff, which I think I will take care of when I get through this presentation this next Sunday. So this time next week, we'll be in the middle of we would have finished it by now. Yeah, we would have finished by now. But this time next week is when the presentation will be and the celebration of that first project. And then I will figure out that I definitely need to get a team because I am fried beyond fried. Fried beyond fried. And I think part of the problem is you want to get quality people. And finding quality people is part of the problem because the less you pay, you get what you pay for to a degree. You get what you pay for. Let's see what we have here. For the platform, Shyam Roots, you might be new. Look, Darlene, I'll do it for free. Okay, thank you. Gabrielle delegates. Yes, I would love to delegate. Another thing I'm going to do, I think I need a female voice on the platform. I've been talking about that for a while. I just haven't had time to find somebody. I think these things are also quite challenging because you need to find people who are dedicated and have the same kind of vision that you have as well. You don't want to have a clash, and it's also risky when you introduce new folks into what you're building or what you've built. So to some degree, I don't even really want to do that. But at the same time, I'm like, well, you know what? It will be good to get some of that energy, some of that perspective. Locally sourced. A team for something like this are built with people who understand that the money is not the main goal, that it will come with consistency and dedication. Yeah, but it's hard to find people like that. It's hard to find people like that, you know. I've tried to. We don't have our community hasn't been conditioned to think the way you're talking about. It's not. So there are people who think that way, but it's just hard to find them. It's not easy to find them because as a group, that's been bred out of us. It used to be the way it was for Black and African people, but they've bred that stuff out of us so much that guys are just focused on themselves and how much they can amass for themselves. You know, to be honest, like, what's in it for me? You would be shocked at how many African or Pan-African creators or platforms I approached earlier on in my time that were just asking, like, how much are you paying? The whole idea of the goal or the vision, mission, you know, ideology, mission, or whatever you're trying to do. Mission? No, man. Cash. Show me the money. So it is what it is. You know, you can't argue with somebody who wants to get paid, you know, I suppose. Anyway, guys, that's what Donny T is doing. We understand what the game is. Let us move on to Kai Cenat real quick because the show is running on. Kai Cenat, a very, very popular YouTuber, one of the biggest YouTubers in the world, was on a live stream where he went on a rant and he said that Black Americans have no culture. And it's caused quite a stir. You know, I mean, a lot of people have had a lot to say about it. I put out a video about it. It's gone. A lot of people have reacted to what I said. But let's talk about Kai Cenat, guys. How many of you guys know who he is and how many of you agree or disagree with him? Or rather, how many of you agree with him, I should say? How many of you agree with him? How many of you agree with him? Disagree, okay. I mean, look, I believe he's obviously wrong, like very wrong. But after I thought about it, I've slept on it. I slept on it, I thought about it. I said, you know what, it's not Kai Cenat's. It's not his fault. I slept on it. I said, it's not Kai Cenat's fault. He's not educated. He's ignorant. Why is he ignorant? Because Black America hasn't taken control of its own history and education of its children and has allowed people to come in and just rip it off consistently. Till tomorrow, they're allowing people. I actually brought up some examples and I said, even when you look at music, why are Black Americans so ready and willing to allow every Tom, Dick, and Harry who isn't Black to come in and take the music and repackage it? And then you praise them as, look at how good he's doing. He's got rid of. It's amazing to me. I'm like, guys, haven't you looked at your own history, at how many things have been stolen from you? Why would you allow any of these folks to do this? When they will, the amount of work you have to do to get into the things they created. And even when you do, and you do it better than them, they make sure they control you. Look at basketball. White people, well, actually, you know what? Technically, the Mayans made up basketball. But let's just talk about organized basketball. All of these things are white sports. that is dominated by people who are not white, but they make sure that, fair enough, we'll let you play it, but you're not going to control it. We'll let you play and we'll make money off you, but you're not going to control it. Us, on the other hand, come in, take what we made and control it and tell us what we can and can't do. And then we'll smile because you gave us some cookies and butter biscuits. Guys, tell me I'm lying. I keep it real, guys. Tell me I'm lying. We're now at that stage of the show where things get realer. Everybody who comes onto my lives know that there's a part of the show when things get real and I have to delete the live. I think we've hit that moment. Tell me I'm lying. Am I lying? Am I lying, people? Somebody tell me that, MERC, you're lying. And then I'll say, okay. Guys let Eminem in the door and then say that Eminem is the greatest rapper of all time. It's bonkers to me. Guys let Eminem in the door and say that he's the greatest. Now, I'm not trying to say that he's not good. But do you think that that could happen in a white situation? Not in a billion. A guy like Michael Jackson, to the day that he died, was still fighting for recognition, even though he's the most famous human being that's ever existed, the most talented entertainer in the history of humanity. He was still fighting for recognition. Michael Jackson, of all people. Where these people with all their delusion were trying to equate this guy with Elvis Presley, a clown. And yes, I said it, guys. Elvis Presley. Do you know how I know that Elvis Presley was a joker? The fact that when I was a kid, I used to laugh at it because I thought it was funny. I'm talking about when I was a very young child, like 7 or 8 years old. I used to laugh at Elvis Presley videos because I thought it looked ridiculous. The guy cannot dance. His singing sounded weird, and now I know because he stole that from a black guy. I heard the guy's real voice that I saw. I was like, oh, wow, okay, so this is his voice that you took. His singing style, his voice, and all that sort of stuff. The guy cannot dance. Like, it's ridiculous to me. And I'm like, you're comparing this to Michael Jackson? This is a community that has told us that the Beatles is the greatest band of all time. The Beatles. Guys, what has the Beatles made that is better than Earth, Wind and Fire? Kool and the Gang. Kool and... I don't even need to go to Earth, Wind and Fire. That's too lofty a height. Kool and the Gang? What has the Beatles made that is better than Boys to Men? Shalama, Debaj. Okay. You see, you have to tell me, yes, it's really good. Listen to it, it's really good. You have to keep explaining to me why it's good. I don't need an explanation to know why Shalama is good because I'm dancing. I don't need an explanation to tell me why Kool and the Gang is good because I'm dancing. I don't need an explanation to tell me why Debaj is good because I'm dancing. I don't need an explanation to tell me why Boys to Men is good because, you know, we won't go there. But you know what I'm talking about. With the Beatles, you have to explain it to me. Yes, if you listen to the songs, the craftsmanship on it, you have to explain it to me. Did you explain to me why Prince was good? You don't need to explain why Prince is good. You explain it to me why Elvis is good. You need to explain it to me. That is why I'm saying it is a bamboozle. Elvis in the same conversation as James Brown is a travesty. But Black America, you let this happen. These people, it is ridiculous. You defined this music. How in the name of all that is good are these mediocre guys being mentioned in the same breath as the greats that you produced? The absolute legends. You're going to talk about Paul McCartney in the same breath as Stevie Wonder? Songs in the Key of Life is better than anything that Paul McCartney has ever dreamt of. Not what he actually made, what he's ever dreamt of in his dreams. That one album, Songs in the Key of Life, is better than anything he's ever dreamt of in his dreams. A Blind Man. Come on, guys. What? You see, Black Americans, I'm going to talk to you guys. When you've been blessed with so much, and a guy like Cenat from Haiti, a Haitian guy, a descendant of Haiti, can come to the country and start saying things like this. You messed up. It's not his fault. You did that. You caused that. It's not him. He did not cause that. Because it should have been made so impossible for him to open his mouth to say that, because the info is so widely available that he's talking absolute nonsense. It's because the information is hidden and it's not in schools. Nobody teaches this stuff in school. They're trying to wipe everything out of the curriculum. Any kid who goes to high school doesn't learn any of these things. The guy's only 20 years old. He's 22. The guy's a baby. How is Cenat supposed to know that you have a culture? Because everything he's seeing is just like either ratchet stuff or it's stuff that has been co-opted by white America, so he doesn't actually realize it came from you. It's like, what is he supposed to do? What is he supposed to do? T. Vardy says, I'm not even sure that we let this happen. We fought it. It's war. They are destroying us daily. They have for centuries. I disagree with that. I disagree with that. You see, this is the thing. There is a percentage of Black Americans who fought to the death because they saw this coming. They knew this was coming. They fought to the death. The problem is the percentage that sold the other percentage out. That's the problem. There are Black Americans who they've been this is nothing new that we're saying. They've been talking about this for 50 years. They said this was Stokely Carmichael, who I just realized was Kwame Ture yesterday or today. I didn't actually know Stokely Carmichael and Kwame Ture were the same person. I've been watching Kwame Ture videos for years. I didn't know that was Stokely Carmichael. I said, wait a minute, this Stokely Carmichael? Guys, that guy dropped so many diamonds. By the time I finished watching the video, there was diamonds all over my table. My table was glistening with diamonds because of the amount of diamonds Kwame Ture was dropping in videos I was watching. My whole table, I had to go and get a tray to clean the diamonds off the table. It was a diamond mine on my table. Stokely Carmichael. I didn't know it was the same person. Because I knew that name, but I didn't connect it because I never knew that history. I just knew that there was a guy called Kwame Ture who I've been watching his videos on YouTube. And that's what I knew. I was like, wait a minute, it's the same guy? America, man. You see, this is the reason why I'm saying that the kinds of brilliant, insightful minds that have come out of that community is disgusting. So everything is already known. There is nothing that isn't already known. The answers have been known for decades. Malcolm X was talking about this in the 60s. The economics has been known for decades. You've gotten thinkers in the Black American community for the last 60, 70 years who have broken everything down of exactly what needs to happen. But people are not listening. What more can you say? What more can you say? These guys they've laid out the blueprints for you. There are more of them. Africa doesn't have those kinds of folks. Africa had them and they leaders. But we don't have the quantity that Black America has. Africa has them, but not in the... Black America has it's like a production mill of these sorts of people. The modern day version, which we laugh at because he needs to be like that, people like Dr. Umar Johnson, take away the comedy, listen to what he says. You're like, this guy has said a lot of things. His presentation of it, I actually believe, is genius because his presentation is necessary for today's audience. Why does he always go viral? is not only because of the contents of what he's saying, his showmanship and the fact that he's presenting it in a way that is digestible to the modern young audience. Genius. Thank you, Sana Sen Leger. Thank you very much for the super chat. Much appreciated. Much appreciated. Guys, this live is real. I'm relaxed now. So we're having the real time. You see, that's the thing. I don't know whether I need to start my lives late because it usually takes me a little bit of time to get warmed up. It takes me a little bit of time to get warmed up. But once we're warmed up, we get into real conversations. You cannot blame the man. The guy's a baby. Leave Kai Cenat alone. Put an arm around him. Kai, come here and educate the young chap. Kai Cenat is very rich. He's a millionaire and he's only 22. You're going to cancel Kai Cenat. You haven't got the power to cancel him, black people. His fans aren't black. Kai Cenat, he doesn't make his money off you. That's part of the problem. That's what you think. That if Kai Cenat knew that black people were controlling his pockets, he would have actually said that. He said it because, like, you don't control his money. Would Kai Cenat say that about the Jews? Whatever thoughts he thinks he has is not going to do that. Because he knows what will happen to him. So this is all about, if you're not in a position to actually hurt somebody's pockets or exert any kind of leverage on somebody, they're going to take liberties. They're going to take liberties. The irony is that Kai Cenat is I think they say that he's a Haitian. Everything he wears, his clothing, his style, what he does, that is all Black American culture. That's the irony. Everything about this guy came from you guys. And he's sitting there saying that you have no culture. It's hilarious to me. And you're not going to do anything about it. That's part of the problem. So the guy has said that he's insulted guys. Ain't nobody going to do jack. Ain't nobody going to do jack. Ain't nobody going to do, he's ain't going to do a damn thing. All these little things that I keep saying about, look, man, as a culture, I think it's a very good thing he did because I think it's highlighted a major issue. And I think it's a major issue that needs to be addressed. But I think it's a good thing he did. I think it's a very, very good thing he did. He's highlighted something that people need to talk about because I feel like it is one of the fundamental issues within the community. One of the fundamental issues within the community is ownership. It's like if you don't own anything, then you don't have the power to dictate your future, and you don't have the power to dictate your present, to control your present, to keep your family safe. You get abused because people know they don't think they can get away with it. They know they can get away with it. That's the problem. So, I mean, look, it's interesting. And I think hopefully it's a wake-up call for people that history is important because he doesn't know, he's ignorant. If you're not teaching history, people will not be aware of these things. That being said, guys, everybody, what I'm going to be doing is if you're not on my newsletter, but you're a paid member on any of my other platforms like Instagram or YouTube, I will do I'm trying to offer you guys an onboarding onto my newsletter tier. So please DM me or message me. I've been telling people this a lot. I do not know whether that's getting lost in translation, but that is where everything is ending up. Because that community of mine is growing And once I can get it into an appreciable number of people, I then won't have to be relying on algorithms anymore. Let's see now. Anyway, next story. YouTube are banning AI faceless content. Not banning it, rather, I should say, removing it from monetization. They're getting demonetized. So you will not be able to get monetized by making AI content on YouTube anymore and faceless channels. So you'd listen to this and you say, okay, who cares about that for what we talk about? It's very important. Faceless AI is the current, in the last 2 years, has become the biggest or one of the biggest African content producers. You go on these channels where it's a computer-generated voice talking about African news stories with B-roll and images and video clips. And these guys are churning this stuff out, and they're playing on the desperation that Africans have to learn something, to know about what's happening in Africa, and also to hear positive stories about African defiance and standing up to imperialism. This is very dangerous because the level of misinformation that is being put out there, especially about Captain Traoré and Burkina Faso, is wild. The worst thing about these channels is that they don't have any accountability because they're faceless. They can get away with it. That's the problem. So these guys are producing material and you're looking and you're like, this is a lie. It's not true. This never happened. But who do you go to bring Cole to task for this? It's a faceless channel. You have no idea. For all you know, it could be a white person in Middle America creating this material to mess with you. Or because he knows that it's a money maker. So he just creates it because he doesn't care about the truth of it or not. He just knows that it's just going to make money. It's a niche. There is no reason why somebody couldn't do that. And the problem is that once you've got hundreds of thousands, if not millions of Africans watching a channel in the palm of your hand, you can then start putting information that is actually harmful out there. That's why that stuff is messed up. Because people who are trying to have real conversations, you're now fighting against misinformation. You're now fighting against misinformation. So I never liked it. So now I'm really, really glad that they're demonetizing these guys, because now we will see what they were really in it for. Now we will see what they were really in it for. You know? Because if they were in it for the right reasons, then them getting demonetized wouldn't be a problem. You are just trying to spread the truth, right? And you're doing it's faceless AI. So it's not like it's not that much effort, because you're not even, you know. Those guys are all going to disappear once that money well dries up. For me personally, to listen to news from somebody that I can't see, where I don't know who's sending this to me, nah, that's just foolish. I want to know who it is. Show me your face so I know who I'm dealing with. Otherwise, I don't buy it, because the people out here are nefarious, folks. Nefarious. Can't trust anybody out in these streets. You can't. So for me, I'm very glad that they've done this. I think it's going to be very helpful because it will clean up the waters so we can actually start focusing more. We can start focusing more on what is actually true. You know, and I think for people like me, it's a big deal, because I'm like, oh my goodness, thank God. I don't have to be dealing with, I don't have to deal with wading through all of this material, because that is part of the problem. When the internet is flooded with that, it's harder for people to find your stuff where you're actually trying to have real conversations. It's harder for people to find your stuff where you're trying to have real conversations. you know. Let's see now. All right, guys. Wow. Yeah, we've gone kind of over here. Well, maybe not, just not too much over. Yeah, so that is, the next big thing is going to be next Saturday. Like I said, I will let people know about how you can get an invitation to that if you want an invitation to it, because it is obviously limited. So I'll put that information out there soon. Yeah, very excited about that because the project came out very, very well, really well indeed. I wish I had a team now because then I could actually get more done in terms of preparation. So part of it is that I have to slow down other things so I can put direct time towards producing material for this. But we're getting to the tipping point now. It's been a long road of years, long road of getting to this point. But I'm glad that we're now at a point where material is actually coming out. Things are getting made and things are getting done. So that's a really good sign. Anyway, guys, till next week, cheers.